All right, we're
What do you
live.
have? You also have a NAS server, or
That's it.
are you network though? Are you?
Yeah.
Is the
But I
network for the whole house or just inside that room?
No, that's on the Studio Pro. That's on the studio. So that's on the network. But my use case is a little bit different because I'm not streaming this stuff, in another room. But you theoretically could, because the computer that's decoding it can just send the video feed to wherever you are in the house.
Well, if you have everything that close, you might not need it. But I needed a separate system to store. Just to tell everybody what I'm doing, I did a NAS server called TrueNAS, and I'm actually using TrueNAS Core. If anybody did that, and I'm setting up basically a 50 terabyte system with redundancy. Okay, and I'm using a regular computer. You can buy hardware that's specialized, or you can just use a regular computer and download TrueNAS. So I'm doing that, and I just bought a switch, a 10 gigabit switch, and all the PCI cards.
Mhm.
And I was like, all right, let me see if this is worth it. Oh my God, it's 1,000 megabytes per second straight through the network. Anything, it's absolutely amazing. Editing 6K footage like fucking butter. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's
Um,
really good now.
and streaming, as Chris told me, my whole prawn folder streams instantaneously.
Instantaneous.
Yo, why did everyone, when we were late by a minute, why did everyone say it's because I'm oversleeping?
No.
Well, it was your
Like,
fault. We were all
No,
waiting.
it literally was not my fault, dude. You guys were talking about your porn, and so I couldn't go live when you were talking about porn.
We didn't talk about porn. We said prawn. It's
No,
different.
it was porn. Dude, by the way, we didn't get monetized on the last video. What did we play? We played Denzel or something?
Oh yeah, but it's
Yeah.
play a second of that.
No, it was funny. It was funny. It was good, but I was just like YouTube. This is why YouTube got all that ad revenue. They know when to, fuck with you.
Yeah, I was just reading up on that. I haven't been in front of my shit all day. It was like 61 billion.
Yeah, let's start off with that. Google.
Yo,
Let's start off with that. Google. They crushed it. They're up. How much are they up right now? They're up a lot. They're up 12%. Let's start with Vitaly. What was your raw reaction to this earnings?
I mean, amazing. And so at the end of the day, this is why I held on to still. I sold some shares, by the way, earlier, but I held on to a majority of my shares because even though I hated Sunder, Google is such a great company that you should never underestimate them. And Sunder and the team obviously proved that you should never underestimate. Now I'm sad I even sold a part of the shares because, of course, it went up since then like $40. So once again, once you're big and you're a winner, like Google, Apple, Amazon, Meta, and we should talk about Meta too, but like these companies are so massive and they're winning at such large scale that I think it's just going to continue for a very long time. And I know we might have thought that like people bring up the AT&T analogy and say, or IBM analogy and say, well, even those companies had their day and then they got out of favor. But I think it's because they didn't reinvest into their infrastructure. And these companies are investing in massive scale. Who is going to catch up to any of these guys,
Okay, Carlos, your thoughts?
I think we're seeing this is like corporation level too. Like you can only do what these companies are doing with the amount of capital that they've had and having built successful businesses. So it's even harder to catch them now. I just feel like we're seeing sort of a fundamental transformation that's coming in like over the next 10 years. Everything, what we think of labor, is going to change in a lot of ways. And I think these companies are just, I just don't see what the limit is. Because if you ask yourself, if any one of these companies goes away, well, how do you fill that void, right? So they'll be up and they'll be down quarters, but this is just ridiculous. And forget it. And then Microsoft too. So
yeah, we'll talk about Microsoft, but this was a hell of a quarter. The other thing is, Vitaly, what do you think about the dividend?
I mean, I think Chris doesn't like dividends, but honestly, it brings in a bunch of investors who wouldn't have even thought of Google anymore. And now they're looking at it. It also makes investors like me happy because yes, it's nice to have share buybacks and you expect the stock to go up. But as we saw over a couple of years, the stock didn't really go up. It sort of tanked even as they were buying back a lot of shares. So yes, that's all true. But having actual cash, even a little bit, just makes us feel better. And honestly, the mentality of investing is all part of it. It's not just the buybacks. Just getting something in the bank account and seeing it, I think that matters to a lot of investors.
Chris, your thoughts on, or Carlos, your thoughts on the dividend?
I want to tee up what or at least Chris. But if they were paying all that money in dividends for all those years, then it just seems like investors were looking at it as like a piggy bank. They were just basically just withdrawing the dividend money over the last couple of years, like maybe not feeling like the company was going to grow. you know. And so anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
And it's a minuscule dividend. I mean, 20 cents. I mean,
I think it's literally just making
What
them
about
happy, dude.
what about that video that's been on social with Peter Thiel being like, if you pay a dividend, you're basically saying you're not a tech company. And his logic was actually funny because he's saying if you have all that money and you're not investing in the future, that means you're not worried about being disrupted. So you're basically betting that you don't need to innovate and no one else is going to need to innovate. And you're saying you're not a tech company anymore.
Yeah, I think he was right about that for a while. But Google is innovating a lot from what I'm seeing, at least in this earnings, especially in the cloud. The dividend to me, if they give like a 3% dividend, then yeah, they're cooked. But this is like 0.00 whatever percent dividend, you know? This is just something to give back. Chris,
it's a token thing. Yeah.
It's
Sorry,
a token, yeah. Chris, what are your thoughts on earnings? And why do you think it's up this much? I mean, the numbers were good, but, 12% is $200 billion market cap.
Well, I mean, so the way that I would take this earnings is the companies that have really high expectations and they miss by a little bit, they're getting their asses whooped, right? And then the other hand, you have the opposite happening, which is if the expectations are really low and they have even some positivity, they're getting absolutely bought up, right? So that's the way that I would phrase it with a lot of companies right now. If the expectations are going to be low for a company going into earnings, like Snowflake, I'm going to keep saying Snowflake for a month now. Congratulations.
Can we stay on Google for a minute before we go somewhere else?
We typically want to be in businesses like that. I think Google overall right now is still performing really well. They're still going to be able to catch a little bit of a tailwind from this TikTok issue, because they do have YouTube Shorts. And so if you look at the total amount of time people were consuming on TikTok, if they don't have that platform, where are they going to gravitate to? Of course, some of it is going to go towards Meta and that viewing time is going to go to Meta, which means Meta is absolutely going to catch a huge tailwind. But some of it's also going to be drawn to YouTube as well. I think the real winner here with TikTok being banned, which is almost a certainty at this point, it's going to be Meta. And so I would be very, very surprised if people weren't bidding up Meta prices. Like, dude, Meta is a gift right now. Like,
all right, hold on. Let's finish your thoughts
gift
on Google. Then you got to talk about everything. Then we'll move to Meta. So what else do you have to say on Google? Is that it?
I think, like I said, they're going to catch a secondary high. So Google is going to do very well. Their ads business is there. The one thing that I don't know about you guys, but I think ChatGPT is great. I use ChatGPT, but it's not nearly as much as I still use Google. I still use Google for all sorts of ancillary services like YouTube, Gmail. Like, bro, I'm not getting rid of Gmail anytime soon. I have all my stuff on Gmail, I
let's
use
be
Google
honest.
Sheets. Yeah.
I use OpenAI and I think ChatGPT is amazing, but I'm still searching all the time with Google, 95% of the time. So who here amongst us four, at least, is not using 95% Google and using something else? Carlos, are you the only one who's 20% OpenAI? I don't know.
No. OpenAI is good for very specific searches that require 1, 2, or 3 levels on Google. But most of the stuff is Google. But that's because we've all gotten good at, again, how to prompt the Google search to find what you're looking for, right? You've learned over the years how to ask Google for how to ask Google in a certain way to get the answer you want. And I think there's still a learning curve with something like ChatGPT. And I think it's also limited by the fact that it just isn't trained on much data. At least 3.5 doesn't go beyond 2021. So that was why I was asking you guys if it was worth it, the upgrade to GPT-4, because I feel like if it has a deeper knowledge and it's overall better results, then I think I might actually start using it more. So I'm not the best use case because I'm using like the freebie.
Well, the thing is, Google's just generating the answer the way ChatGPT would. They talked a lot about the inferencing stuff. So at the top, before you click, you get the answer. Boom. Eventually, they'll figure out how to make money on it. But like Brad Gerstner, it seems like his whole thesis is fucking stupid now.
No, he's wrong. He's been wrong for a lot of things.
It seems like he's completely wrong on this. Like, dead wrong.
What?
Google's not going to
that LLMs will destroy Google. I mean, like, I don't know, dude.
The thing is, it takes time, okay? Because this to me reminds me very much of like when the web apps came out for the iPhone before native apps. Remember?
Okay, real quick though, Carlos, before we continue, if it takes time, you would argue that eventually Google search should slow down, which I would agree. But what I'm seeing right here, search revenue is going up. It's not topping out. So it's like this whole thing about it takes time for this thing to eventually fall off a cliff or peak. It's not peaking. It's going up. People are searching more on Google.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea, so like I agree with you. Maybe it does eventually the LLMs kick in, but so far they're doing 14.4%.
Well, I want to point out LLMs do kick in, but it's used in conjunction. For example, I've been coding an app. I've said this before, but you go to ChatGPT and it sort of like helps you with certain parts of your application really well. But that's not the end of the search, because sometimes you have to do other things and it can't finish it. So you go back to Google, you start inputting things, you start reading different forums. So you have to use both tools. I don't think it's one or the other, like especially, but I think it's for this knowledge worker stuff that it's really sort of 10xing your productivity, because now I can get to almost the full answer, right? Like 90%, 95% of the way there. And then I still have to use Google for the rest of it because it's just not giving me everything. So I think it's in conjunction with both. There's no way it's going to be one or the other. So even as just ChatGPT increases searches, I guess that was Brad Gerstner's thing that, hey, even a 10% decrease in Google is already catastrophic, right? Because that's
right,
but
already that decrease isn't happening yet. Now, maybe if it does happen.
No, well, his whole thing was what the energy that it's required, and in that sense, the dollar amount for Google to serve you up the blue ads is different than what is required for an LLM to process. And
correct.
So those sorts of responses are just much more intensive for them.
Which he's right. He's right. Eventually that cost will come up to them. But it seems like Google has time, maybe like 2 years to figure out the monetization part of that before this really starts to kick in. But and so far they're figuring it out.
Again, going back to what I said at the beginning, I just feel like this is not the final form of this stuff. Like right now, you've got like search in parallel with these LLMs that are still, this is not the final form of this. And this is part of what I think he was talking about on the call about we are dedicated to spending the CapEx that we need to make sure that we are at the head of the search, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think it's up to, this is theirs to lose. And so it's up to them to morph the traditional search window with LLMs in a way that people just migrate directly to it from Google. If they do that, then they remain the king. If not, someone else figures that out, you might have a problem. That's my humble opinion.
No, I agree. Let's talk Meta. Meta's down 10%. At one point it hit $400, so it was down like 20%. As soon as I was watching it during the earnings and I really listened to the call, I realized there's no red flags outside of CapEx increasing, which is a theme amongst a lot of companies that we'll talk about. But the street still sold it off. A little bit bad on the revenue guidance. Felt like it was a dip that can get bought up. It did get bought up 5%. Looks like it's going back to 500, as inflation cools down. VITALY, you're the biggest Meta shareholder here. What did you think of the earnings? Did you think it was bad? And did you think the street overreacted?
So I did listen to the Meta earnings to your channel, and I heard nothing bad except one thing that Zuck said. Well, maybe it's not the same thing me and you are thinking. It's not the AI infrastructure build outs. I don't think it was that. I don't think that's why it tanked. And there is no difference between what Meta and what Google basically said, except in a different way, because the spend that they're doing on this AI infrastructure build, that's the problem here, really, right? It's so expensive, but they're all doing it. So but Zuck said this, and I actually brought it up. This is why he was too honest. Okay. He says this: I think it's worth calling out that we've historically seen a lot of volatility in our stock during this phase of our product playbook, where we're investing in scaling a new product, but you aren't yet monetizing it. Zuckerberg said Wednesday. He cited past efforts like short video service reel stories in the transition to mobile. So anyway, he went on and he kept talking about this. And I think that's what scared a lot of people. And I think if we match up when the stock was tanking, it was because he was saying that we don't expect to make any money on this. And the thing is, Google's in the same boat. They still are not going to be making boku bucks over these LLMs, but they're building out their infrastructure too, but their stock goes up. So I think, and obviously Meta was up higher. So maybe you can say Meta was just up 500% over the last year and a half or so, and Google wasn't. But still, I think Zuck did the wrong thing by going to that level of detail with them, trying to be honest. Maybe that's a good thing. But I don't think a lot of these traders or Wall Street people take that as a positive like I did,
I agree. I think the sell-off was stupid, and if you bought at 400, I think it's actually going to go really well.
Let me mention one thing. So it went down to 400. I missed that 400. I thought maybe I'd have a time in the morning to buy it because 385 was a support at before resistance, then support. So I was like, oh shit, I might be able to get it at 385, and now it's back at 450. So I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. You have to move fast.
Chris, you're muted.
Yeah. So if you look at this is all that matters to me when it comes to Meta. Look at these fucking numbers, man. This is just gigantic revenue, and it's still growing. There's no stopping it. I mean, what can you? This is I can't believe the market sold this off. You have every metric is doing well for these guys. You know, your revenue is growing 27% year over year. That's freaking nuts. On top of it, your margins are good. Everything is, you're getting margin are increasing, and you've got these share buybacks that are amazing. I think right now Meta is such a no-brainer buy in terms of valuation. This valuation reset that we just saw is a gift. I think it's a squander if people are not buying it. I mean, for me, I'm probably going to be buying some calls tomorrow after seeing what Google did. I think I am going to just talk about one thing real quick. So this is something I mentioned on AMIT's during AMIT's earnings. If, let's say, we do get some sort of recessionary headwind, where are you going to park your money? Are you going to park it in cash, or are you going to put it in a company that's still growing their revenues, growing their top line, bottom line, and doing share buybacks? So if you think about it, Meta now is the safety stock. You know, Google now is the safety stock. Microsoft is the safety stock. In the past, it was the opposite, where it's like, oh no, I don't want to be in tech during times of a recession. And I think we're going to get a mild recession, because that's the thesis that I'm starting to play out. But I think these guys are going to be the beneficiaries of that, where you're going to see a lot of capital flow into more secure parts of the market. And so that'll probably be that. The other thing, I just want to take it back to Google. One thing, have you guys noticed that Waymo is starting to appear everywhere now? You know, I'm starting to see, okay, Atlanta, which is like a tier 2 city. It's not a tier 1 city. We're getting Waymo, like, at least from the research over here, because we have Georgia Tech, which is like the MIT of the South. A lot of new stuff is happening around robo-taxis. So I saw the thing with Tesla, and that got me really interested in the sector. And I'm like, okay, who are the main players here? Who are the guys at the top? Who are the leaders? And what is ultimately the value that you're going to get? So right now, when I look at this, I think Tesla's robo-taxi network is something I have to do more research on. That's for sure. But more importantly, this partnership between Waymo and Uber may actually be a huge value driver for Google. Now, Google did spin Waymo off operationally, but they own almost 85 to 90% of the equity in Waymo. So Google owns it. So any tangible increase in Waymo's valuation would go to Google as an owner of that thing. The other thing I realized is, you know, one of the most underappreciated things that Google has is freaking Maps. Google Maps. Like, you know, you look at Lyft, you look at Uber, you look at any app, everyone uses Google Maps. And it's not just here in the United States, by the way. I was looking at some stuff in India. India has Google Maps. Huh? In Tesla too?
Tesla uses Google Maps. Yes.
Yeah. India, all of India right now is mapped with Google Maps. Like, if you want to travel anywhere, you can actually use Google Maps to travel in India. And I'm just thinking, like, man, this thing is a fucking worldwide phenomenon. And like, what replaces Google Maps? Absolutely nothing. If you're searching for if you're searching for anything like a restaurant, a flight, or whatever, it's all freaking Google.
Well, no, Apple Maps is pretty good, and they actually have things mapped inside. So you can, if you're inside of like an airport, for example, it's mapped, and you can actually use that to navigate.
It's still not the same as Google.
I know, but
Maps,
he's mentioning Google has access then to the restaurants, to everything else that Apple doesn't really map the way Google does.
It's all that stuff.
No, meaning like people go on Google to advertise their places. So Google's integrating all that data with their map data.
I don't know if people are advertising on Apple Maps. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because everybody's been advertising on Google. Google's taking that data, integrating into their Maps product, and so you know where they know where everything literally is. So, yeah, Apple can't compete with that unless they start doing a search business at the same time.
Yeah. It says, I like that comment. I use Google Maps when I'm in Japan to look up train times. This goes to show, man. And that's the other thing too. This is not just a United States revenue driver.
Yo, real quick before you continue, put in the chat where you're watching from right now. Put what country you're watching from. I'm really curious where people are. Go ahead.
Whether you're in Europe, you're in South America, you're in Asia, it's all Google. You know, even if you're on an iPhone, you're still using Google Maps. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. These guys literally have a monopoly on the modern world. I mean, you can't get around. You can't get
But
around that.
it's impressive, but I'm wondering why, like, you're just realizing that now. Like, this has been out for years.
No, no,
And
I'm thinking
it's licensed it. You know, like it's a mature product.
no, but the way that I'm thinking about it is that, look, eventually, if we do have robo taxis and all that stuff, yes, that's a US centric thing that's going to start it off. But then what about the rest of the world? Everyone is still going to be using all of that data, all of that stuff. And what does that mean for Google in terms of total revenue? I mean, every time you get into a let's say a cab, you're going to be relying on Google to get you there, whether that be through the autonomous software or the mapping software, all the other stuff to it. Like I find it hard to believe that there is any end in sight when it comes to Google going forward. Can you tell me an end goal? Yeah.
Well, no, but the reason this is good, just to bring it full circle, Carlos, is that when they came out with this product, yes, it was nice to use, but everybody was like, how are they going to monetize this, right? Well, yes, maybe they advertised some stores or something in there. Yes, obviously, and that happened. But now a whole new vertical where like Waymo is using that to navigate their autonomous vehicles. Like the day one of Google Maps, that wasn't, maybe it was inside the company, but we didn't know about it. So that's the thing. All these products that they were developing over years and all this data they've been collecting, it might finally come to fruition in the actual real world where they have a foothold in this autonomy thing. And I agree with you about Waymo, that this is an actual thing that we should be worried about as Tesla investors.
Oh, I'm not doubting that. For the record, I'm not doubting that, and I'm aware of that. It's a very mature product, and I don't know how much it's going to move the needle for Google, even though it just once again solidifies that like they have their hand in everything.
Well, what if they own the autonomy network? I mean, that's
different. That would have to be a strategic decision that they make. But just having Google Maps on the cars, I don't know that that's necessarily a needle driver for them, but they'd have to actually make a play. The point is, though, that they actually would be able to now if they have this partnership. You know, you basically have three components of it, right? You have the map, the map routing data, then you have the the payment system, and then you have to have the cars. So I think what's missing from that is like a partner with some automaker to be able to get the cars and get them outfitted. That's what I think is the missing component. But I mean,
who's partnered right now? Does somebody know what cars do they use? GM's cars? I forgot what cars they use.
I think so. Bolts? Were they not Bolts?
Jaguar I-Pace. Jaguar I-Pace.
Oh, Waymos. So then Cruise is.
Well, they're fucked. So don't worry about them.
But you got me actually thinking, Chris, because that's true. If you are in a robo taxi, like Tesla could sell ads on the back. They'll be selling ads on that shit while you're driving.
He's like another vertical.
Another.
Okay, that was Chris, you want to show something? Here you go.
Yeah. This is the actual Waymo vehicle. Now the thing is,
have you driven yesterday?
I have not. I was actually going to fly to Austin or fly to Arizona, which I think Phoenix in Arizona. They have these things around. But dude, all the reviews that I hear about this thing, all of them are super, super positive. So, when it comes down to, remember the Peter Lynch model, try it out, try the product, see how it is, and then go from there. So if anyone in the comments section, you've gone on a Waymo, because they're all over San Francisco, they're all over Austin and Phoenix, put down your experience in the chat. I'd love to hear about that.
So not to tank my own stock, but there's these rocks I keep talking about that it wants to like hit, right? So I found that I don't know why this is the case with Tesla, but over 30 miles, and maybe Rango knows better than this, but over 30 miles or plus, but 25, this doesn't happen really. It literally aims for the rocks. I don't understand, because on the map, and I'm going to do a video tomorrow, Carlos. So I'm going to share it.
Do a video at this point, because this is like
I tried to do a video today, and I'll tell you what happened. My dog was in the seat. I was holding the video.
Disengaged, and you got a strike.
It was aiming for the rocks. The dog went flying. I had to like put down the video. So I have the video of me like, but I'm not going to put that out. I'm going to do an actual real one where it shows you at 30 miles plus. The thing is, it has the Google Maps GPS. It's showing everything, and it still aims for the rocks. I don't understand what's going on. I actually hope Tesla or Rango can just bring this up the food chain and just give it to Tesla and say, why is it aiming for these rocks?
It would. I'm curious to see.
Rango, fix it, dude. Fix the problem.
No, it really is. Like, why? It knows there's rocks, by the way, because I see the visualization. It shows that it the path around something, So why are you trying to kill me, buddy?
I do notice one thing when you're in the like autopilot mode, that the car stays centered more than I stay centered. So I feel like I'm always a little bit more to the left than I want to be. You know,
It's more to the right when it's in full self-driving.
I get both. Depends on which lane I'm in.
All
But there's some times where like I'm in the left lane, like a HOV, and there's a wall right there, and it's a lot closer to the wall than I would be, even though I can see there's plenty of space. I'm like, move a little bit to the right.
I think Ray is right. Tesla AI already trying to kill itself.
Yeah.
So
better than trying to kill us, right?
we talked about Google and Meta. Microsoft, there's not that much to talk about. They're killing it in cloud, right? I don't think anyone has anything crazy to say, right? Okay, cool. So we're gonna do one quick topic that I want to do real quick, and then we'll do Tesla, because we kind of did Tesla on Finance Junkies, but we'll discuss that after, because they're just killing it today in their stock price. But
how's your thesis on Tesla tanking working?
Oh, I was do that thesis. That thesis.
No, first of all,
but you know, to be fair, I think 99% of the world had that thesis, which is why the stock fucking did the opposite,
what that is that's people thinking what the response to the numbers were going to be. That's basically trying. That's
correct. And that was if Elon didn't talk, then yeah, that would have been the response. Right?
But Elon opened his mouth and pumped the shit.
Optimist in 1 year. Don't worry, guys. So he pumped.
He's like, you wanted the car in 2026? I'm giving it to you in 25.
He's like,
first half 2025.
Look out the window right now. Look out the window right now. It's outside. I'm sending it to your house.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, let's do this topic because
before that, Tesla, I think, is still gonna go down. Like,
no. Well, we'll do the Tesla topic. We'll do the Tesla topic. I gotta do my topic first.
But I want to point out there was resistance at 170, like a major downtrend we were in.
At 173.
Well, we were in this. It technically is right at that point where it has to make a decision. So, Chris, if it goes higher, there's still alpha to be made, even if it goes back lower later. So the point is, that's a massive swing up from right now $30, maybe all the way to $50. That's a massive increase in only
that bitch is running to 200
a week.
It's running to 200, dude. It's fucking going to 200.
Okay,
let's do my topic first, then we'll do the Tesla. So someone named Vlad Tenev just tweeted that Robinhood's retirement assets under custody went from $4 billion in April to March to $6 billion in April. It was $1.5 billion in January. This thing has went up 4x in 4 months, 50% in the last month. What are your thoughts on this? Just curious what you guys have to say.
I mean, when are they going to get busy and try to actually grow this fucking business already? God,
dude, this is pretty insane. This number is insane. Robinhood shouldn't be the retirement account for people, right? That's Schwab, that's Fidelity, that's E-Trade. It's fucking Robinhood, dude.
Well, they're giving 3%, right, to all these people. So
that's true.
I mean, 3% is no joke. You know, if you start putting some serious money in, it adds up.
Yeah. Screenshots on X, right? Didn't you see the screenshots of people?
Yeah.
What I got, my 3%.
And this is why I like Vlad, dude. He was like, I couldn't wait a designer to update this, so he did it himself. I love this shit.
Nice. Well, no, I mean, I haven't gotten the credit card yet.
I think everything's launching on earnings. The UI, the 1%, the card. I think all that's launching on May 8th. I think.
Well, I was saying that I have started to use Robinhood, by the way, and slowly deposit money into it, just to use it, try it out, obviously. And yeah, it's good to use. It's simple for the most part. You do have to learn your way around the screens because they do hide some things, by the way. It's not as simple as everybody makes it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's better to use. Like, for example, I was using SoFi before for some of this smaller investment stuff, and that's just, there's no experience there. So
yeah.
Robinhood gives you a bunch of features like the 3%, the 1% cashback, the credit card. You can see all of that. It's a better value. Let me put it this way.
And for those in the chat that are saying 6 billion doesn't matter, I agree with you. 6 billion is like pennies in the retire. There's like 17 trillion or something in retirement assets. The point is, the company's valuation is also, if you take away their cash, $10 billion. So like you're getting to buy something relatively cheap, in my opinion, that's growing retirement accounts 100%. In 400% in 4 months. I mean, that's kind of insane, right? So the opportunity is there. It's just a question of if they can keep grabbing it.
Yeah, and you're also locking in a entire segment of the population. I think the key here is that Robinhood's really, really going after the younger generation who are first-time investors in the stock market, trying to really get in and basically dominate that field, which means that, once again, this is the infinite looping thing that's going to happen with them. More assets under custody, which means more trades under custody, which means that they'll be able to generate more money for lending out stock that's sitting in that account, because not a lot of people in retirement accounts is going to be buying and selling these things. So as an example, if you have 1,000 shares of Google and someone wants to short it, basically they have to borrow those shares. Robinhood could lend that out on a short, on a basis, and basically make money that way. So the more assets under custody that you have, the more likely it is that you'll be able to generate money on top of it. So yes, Robinhood will probably take a bit of a hit, probably around 120 to 100, maybe 200 million this quarter on all the additional expenses of getting these things migrated on. So as TAC, it's going to go up like crazy. But then,
Chris, do you think they're going to be profitable this quarter?
I don't know.
I think they're going to be profitable.
But I want to point out, aren't they not doing that? They're not taking that full like 3% or 1%. It's split over time, isn't it?
So that's a good question. So the 1% is split over 24 months. So if you put in $1 million and you get 10,000, that 10,000 is over 24 months. But the 3% brokerage match is immediate. However, so if you'll get that 10,000 today, but you have to keep that 10,000, or you have to keep the $1 million on the platform for 5 years to keep the 10,000, which makes sense because no one's taking the money out of the retirement account, right? It's going to stay there for decades, theoretically. So I think they're going to be profitable with this still. They're still going to be profitable here. Given
you know what? Since you're friends with Vlad, here's a suggestion.
Okay, I'm not friends. Hold on, I'm not friends with Vlad. Okay, I don't have like.
Yeah, you suggest something.
He's like, we just sleep together.
Oh, by the way, their new media company followed me on Twitter, Sherwood News. It's a really good website for those that haven't checked it out. It's like Bloomberg for millennials.
Does Robinhood have their own ETF that specifically does S&P 500?
No, SoFi has those. This is the website, by the way. SoFi has their like market specific ETFs. Robinhood doesn't really suggest ETFs at all.
So they should. They should. The reason why
it looks terrible when you scroll through, the charts are like really good. You should try it out.
The reason why is because if you have so many people wanting to get into the Robinhood retirement thing, a lot of people just want to buy the VTs of the world, right? Which is low cost index funds. If Robinhood had their own low cost index fund, that would be perfect. So
that's probably coming.
Might be an idea.
Yeah,
that's probably an idea that you should run up the flagpole. Because I mean, right now, if I take $100,000 and I want to invest in, let's say, a market, an index fund, I'll probably buy just VT and it'll sit in my Robinhood account and that's what it'll be. But the thing is, what if there was a Robinhood version of it that had, let's say, 0 management fee?
Yeah. No, that's fair. Maybe that's an idea. Someone says SoFi canceled their ETFs. Really? I did not know that. Or SoFi still has most of them. I do think Robinhood's going to be profitable. I think they figured out how to drive profitable growth. And the yield they're getting on the assets is enough to still squeeze a profit, along with the credit card that's going to have revenue. The media business has some revenue. Gold subscribers will be additional revenue. So I think they're going to be profitable. I think it's going to crush this earnings, dude. I think it's going to be really good. All right. Speaking of another company that crushed, Tesla, numbers weren't the best, but Elon got on the call and he basically told everybody, hey, FSD is coming. Calm down. Street likes it. 173. Carl, to start with you, what was your reaction to how the call went and how the market reacted?
I feel like we did this the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, but it was on my channel.
Wait, before Carlos, do you still have those stupid calls? Are you still holding on?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm 185 tomorrow, baby.
We're fucking guy, man. We're doing it. Fucking guy.
Wake up and bing.
No, to Vitaly's credit, I was in the morning live stream and they were up 100%. And Vitaly was in the chat like, "Yo, sell them now." I was like, "Yo, we're going to 10x," and then tanked to 150.
Oh, you didn't sell.
I didn't sell for my $30 gain.
What are you up right now? What is it right now?
Dude, I'm down like 50% because the ADA days destroyed them. Like,
why did you not sell them? I don't understand.
Because it's $30. Like, do I want $30 more, or do I want to go all the way? If Tesla goes to
no, you take the money and you were going to give it to somebody in the audience.
That's $30. I wanted to give like $200.
Why? Here's my question to you. Why didn't you just buy them out at least 60 days to 90 days?
Then they were more expensive.
I mean, yes,
they're more expensive. It was a lottery ticket. It wasn't.
This was literally like a lottery.
Also, the tweet when I posted the tweet, the headline of the tweet was Tesla to 185 this Friday. That was the like punchline of it. Not like Tesla to 185 in 1 month. It was like, no, this Friday, fuck it, we're gonna.
You could have even done a spread. You could have even done a spread and been okay, man.
The thing is, you're going to be right, but you're going to be a week off.
I will. That's the problem. Yeah. The fun of it is that it expires this week, dude. That's the point.
I bet some. I bet the guy on the other side who sold you that shit was probably laughing his ass
of
off.
course.
He was
Dude, he
like,
sold it to 7,000 people. It wasn't just me. It was other people.
it's like, what idiot just freaking bought this I mean, it's guys like TJ. That's what TJ does all day, every day. He just sits there and it's like, oh yeah, let me just buy another, just feed these suckers all their
Dude,
thing,
well,
man.
TJ doubled down on his Enphase put.
TJ on the other side. You
It probably
find
was
out
TJ.
later on it was TJ.
What do you mean? What did he do?
TJ, so he's already collecting. He's going to collect 50,000 tomorrow on Enphase covered calls at 125. He wrote another 15,000 worth of premiums for I think tomorrow or next week for 115, and Enphase fell 7% today.
Enphase has amazing premiums. If anyone's,
I'm
it's just
telling
crazy.
you, and it's that and Coinbase for those weekly freaking.
It's
I
volatile.
mean, honestly, I should do that. I should take a couple of hundred shares and just do that.
Just
Put sell some covered calls. You have more than a couple hundred shares. You have a couple
Let's
million
stick on
shares.
them.
Well, but I'm saying if I lost a couple of hundred shares, if I did get called out, that won't affect me. I won't care.
Right.
But so that's why it's not a bad idea.
Okay, Tesla is Ron Barron said the bottom is in. So that's the question, Carl. Do you believe the bottom's in?
I think it's hard to say yes because you just never know with this stock. But I'm still looking for the evidence to be able to say this confidently. But I'm guessing that this is the quarter where Tesla redefines themselves as an AI company, and I think that's the big thing, that the big takeaway that they've been trying to do. So if that 8.8 meeting or event is great, then that could be it. And from there, I think Ron Barron's right, because Tesla predominantly at this point has not been seen as at all an AI company. It's been seen as like AI aided, right? But now it's like, oh shit, these guys have the data, they have the compute, and they're actually creating great products. So we'll see. I don't think the stock should be up right now. If anything,
why don't the stock should be up?
Because they didn't beat any of the numbers. This again has me lose confidence. You posted something about this, like, you know, whatever, one of the companies, or JP Morgan or something, chasing now. They had just said it was 120 last month. Now they're saying it's 220. It's like at some point these price targets lose credibility, and it actually becomes harder to invest because nothing seems to make sense. Like if the numbers are bad, the stock shouldn't go up, right? But again, the flip side of that is they could say, yeah, then this quarter was bad, but markets are forward looking and we got guidance that we felt good about, right? And that you could argue is why Meta tanked. Yeah, this quarter was great, but you're going to be spending a fuck ton of money. So I don't know.
Okay, Vitaly.
Well, I'll just take the opposite end in terms of, if you look at the chart, and Tesla being down 40%, I think we talked about it before it went up. We were saying, look, at some point it's got to reverse. And I think I've said that to you, Amit, that there has to be a pump that's coming, whether it's on earnings or like a day after. I don't know if it's that, but it happened on earnings. So it was going to go up. Okay. No matter what Elon said, I know people want to believe Elon's doing all this magic, and he did help, of course, but it was going to go up just because traders are going to trade when something is down low in the RSI. As you can see, it was pretty low. It's in a channel. Now the question is, now that we've hit the top of this channel, that's really the question. It has pumped. Can it actually break out and keep going higher? Or is this like a bull trap and it's a fake out? Which that's why it doesn't make me want to rush out and just buy, even though I bought Tesla today, but I'm DCAing slowly into Tesla because I told you, I think a week or two ago, that I'm just going to slowly DCA now. I think it's the time that I have like maybe a year or maybe 2 years, just like with Enphase, to just keep dollar cost averaging over this time while everybody doesn't believe in the narratives of these companies. And that's fine. That's when you're supposed to buy these stocks. Just like when I bought Meta, you guys didn't believe in the narrative. You thought it was a dead company. Facebook was never going to come back. Amazon at $85. Amazon is dead. It's never coming back. Google at 85. These narratives play themselves out over and over. And the one thing you should learn from all of this is that great companies can turn themselves around kind of magically, I would say. So I'm not going to bet against Tesla, whether it's like KRIS is saying right now and goes to 100. That is besides the point. The point is, like, these companies are going to do really well. And all these big tech companies are proving that, you know, and it takes a year or two, right? Didn't we see that? It takes a year or two for everybody like to recognize that. So now we're going to sitting here for a year or two while Tesla does its thing. One more thing about 8.8. As far as 8.8, I think we can pump till 8.8, but I think that'll be a major sell the news event, Carlos. I don't think that's the everything's changed paradigm when Elon says it's going to be sometime in a year or so.
No. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said, except I don't think you have a year or two to do that. I just don't think. I think this was the time. This whole time that Tesla's been in the shit has been the time.
It is in the shit. It's up $30. It's down 40%. It is in the shit.
So this has been the time.
Oh, this is the time. Yes.
We have been in the time of trying to DCA into these companies, and you don't get too much time. You know, when the tide turns, it turns. And I think that it's been heavily affected by sentiment. So if the 8-8 event is somewhat good, you're right. If it pumps up a lot, if we're in the 200s when that happens, we probably see a bit of a sell-off. But if Q2 is somewhat good, he did say we're going to hit our numbers and we're going to beat 2023 production. If they beat and are on track to hit and beat 2023 full year, fuck, this stock could be in the 300.
Well, you're not talking Q3, Q4, right? That's what you're talking about.
So, but that's what I'm saying. It's not. I don't think it's a year or two, because I don't think that the company can just trade sideways for the next year with these level of expectations. I just don't think that that's possible. So it's either way up or way down.
Real quick before Chris talks, what do you guys think of Meet Kevin buying back in?
I mean, he's wishy-washy.
Guys, am I crazy? The post that he got so much shit about, he was kidding. Right?
Kidding about what? Kidding about what?
That post that he had on the day of earnings. Hey, Elon, don't bother.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, yeah. A lot of people are butthurt about it.
I'm just saying. I think he was just kidding. I mean, I don't know.
But in general, so he sold basically at this price 30 days ago. I believe he's buying now because he gets the tax loss harvesting, which is good. But I think if he knew 140 was the bottom and he just loaded up the tens of millions he's playing with at 140 versus at 170, forget the tax loss stuff. It would have been he would be up $30 on it, right? So do you think this was a good move, or do you think he had to go through this whole hoopla just to be at the same price?
He did this last year. In January, he sold his entire everything.
Here's my question. What do you think about him as a money manager doing this? Because this to me feels a bit erratic as a money manager, and you're putting your clients through a lot of emotional turmoil, like going up and down just to be at the same average, right?
More erratic than Kathy Wood.
Well, Kathy's at least good at timing. Fucking timed it really well.
You know,
he's no Ron Barron. Let me put it this way.
Okay. And look, he got the tax credit, which is great. I'm not trying to say anything about Kevin here, but it is interesting because he's a big guy in the Tesla community. Tesla community hated him for the past 3 weeks. Now they all love him again. They're all happy he's back in. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I think he's a chaser because what fundamentally has changed in the last 3 days?
Nothing.
Besides Tesla went up $30. Like,
yeah, the numbers definitely didn't change. The numbers go.
So he sees Google does well, and he's like, "Yeah, there's no recession." Okay.
Yeah, the dude, he has like 17 videos over the past 2 weeks of a recession, and not just like a fake clickbait. Like he's like going in depth saying a recession is coming, and today he's like, "Nope, no recession. We're done." If
macroeconomists can't predict a recession in the last 1,000 years,
yeah,
there's no way Kevin is going to do it. I'll tell you that right now. Not going to happen.
Okay, Chris, you were right on 150 for like 2 seconds, and then your thesis was obliterated when Elon Musk said, "Fuck you, fuck the puts, we're going back to the moon." Are you going to be right by the end of the year about this 150 thesis?
Probably, but we'll see. You know, that's the thing. Like, a lot of times the market is not grounded on just fundamentals. You know, things are also shaped around future expectations. I mean, you look at Snowflake. The expectations for Snowflake are so low that it's an easy win for them.
PayPal,
you know,
PayPal.
Yeah. So right now,
he's like, when they finish this Tesla discussion, you guys wait.
He's like, I'll find.
See, the funny thing is, every time I talk about these things, it's like fucking gold, and yet it's like,
well, hold on, we're talking about Tesla for a minute.
It is gold. We're not saying it's not gold. We're gonna do a whole podcast.
No.
By the way, on my channel on Saturday, me and Chris are doing a Snowflake podcast. But
yeah, and
Tesla, do you think it's going up or down? Do you like what's going on?
Nah, it'll come back down. Remember, this is a lot of what Elon said is very hopes and dreams, but those things have to come out and be have to show tangible value. Right now, EVs are completely out of favor. So the numbers are going to look like absolute garbage. And every time the numbers keep coming out, it's going to be a reminder to people that, hey, wait a second, you're buying this in the hopes that this could be something really big. You know, with Tesla being a retail favorite company, you're not going to be able to trade this on a fundamental basis. So I can't say 100% for certain that this is going to go back to 150. But if I am like an investor, I'm not trying to buy things just on hopes and dreams. I'm going to try to base them on grounded based on reality. And the reality is Tesla's top line is slowing down. Bottom line is slowing down. It's just not a good value prospect right now. So.
Okay. I agree with you there. It's not a value stock.
So if they sell 500,000 cars next quarter, will you do that pod the whole week with shirtless?
Say that again.
If they do 500,000 cars,
So there's 500,000 cars next quarter. You do the next.
We
Nah,
might get
I'm not
double
gonna
the
bet on
audience.
that, man. I've never fucking done well on bets like this. I had to pay Adam Bergman for Palantir, fucking just doing it. No, I'm not doing that.
I'm just
again.
saying,
No, no, no.
that's got to make it interesting.
Nope.
they're not going to
No.
hit 500. Dude, so the thing on the earnings, I
All
want
right,
to
how
get your
about
thoughts.
pantsless? We don't have to know, right? Because you're
Nah. I mean, that's usually my case anyway. So
He's like, how do you know I'm not wearing pants?
yeah, exactly.
I
wearing pants
barely
right
ever
now.
wear my pants, bro. I barely wear my pants.
One thing KRIS is right about is that in the call they said hybrids are becoming the new consumer choice, and that was confusing to me. Like,
That sounds idiotic, by the way.
it is.
I mean,
It does sound idiotic.
No. The thing is, it could be true temporarily, but realize what's happening. Okay, people are saying, you know what? I just don't want full gas anymore. That's not good anymore. Maybe I'll get a hybrid, save some money. The next step is obviously the evolution to go to EVs. This is like an interim thing. So even if it is true and it lasts a little bit, a couple of years, this is an interim thing, because as soon as you realize you have two things to maintain, okay, double the problems, okay, and still you're paying for gas, which is going to keep going up, or energy, then it makes no sense in the long run. And it's more complicated.
There is, yes, they're overly complicated. Like, I know you just bought a hybrid. I'm not trying to like shit on anything, but it's not inefficient.
But my question is, why are consumers picking that? Like, obviously they are picking hybrids.
They're picking that because they want relief from the rising gas prices. They want to have it at least be somewhat stable, so the gas prices go up and down, doesn't affect them as much. But what they're going to find is they've got less cargo space. They're carrying around the weight of two powertrains, and they still have all of the maintenance of the gas vehicles, plus whatever little maintenance there is on the EV side. So my belief is that those customers, like VITALY said, will eventually just go all EV, because what's the point of still being on gas? And I do want to point out that, this is my opinion, these hybrid vehicles are stealing sales from gas vehicles. It's not like someone goes, I'm going to buy a Tesla or a hybrid. It doesn't work that way from what I've seen. They're like, I'm going to go buy, I want to be off gas. And they're taking sales from those. The other thing is the dealers are pushing those. The dealerships themselves are pushing those over EV. So
more shit breaks. They get to work.
Yeah, it just needs to mature a little more. And so I think once we get into a more favorable rate environment, I think we'll then see what the consumers choose. Because when there was QE,
there's a couple of things that will be a tailwind for sorry, give me 1 second. I just got to sneeze and it's like bugging the shit out of me. All right, went away. Okay. One of the things
back out of nowhere, dude.
I know. One of the things about EVs is, and this was covered with Elon. He said, the price of the batteries just went absolutely bonkers on us in the middle of 2022.
Oh, yeah. 2022.
So now one of the things that you're going to see is, with improving production technology, with improving battery technology, I think even the densification of batteries will help, because that might extend the range of those batteries to, like, let's say 400 or 500. So even if, let's say, you had a cold weather event that drained your battery quicker, you still had a good amount of range to go, right? The other thing is, Tesla is still investing in that charging infrastructure, which is also another good thing too, because I think Elon is actually taking the more, what's the word? Like,
if you say holistic, I'm leaving.
Not holistic. He's taking a very charitable donation to getting EVs to become the future. I mean, you think about all these other companies, they're scaling back on EVs. Tesla's like, no, we're going to keep powering through this bullshit. We think EVs
transition to ICE.
No. He could say, you know what, we're seeing demand drop off. We're going to slow down our spend as well. But he didn't do that. So basically, at the cost of Tesla shareholder value, he's like, no, we're still going to invest in the infrastructure. We're still going to invest in the technology. We're still going to invest in the research. So yes, in the short term, we are going to take some hits. These other car companies, they're like, oh, we're not going to do that. We're not going to sacrifice margins. We're not going to sacrifice future business. We're going to scale back our EV production. We're going to scale back our EV research. So that's just something to say. I mean, I personally think EVs are the future, but right now they're not. So right now you don't want to be in them.
I will say this because I got a chance to listen to the call and just catch things that I had missed. He mentioned that the other EV makers scaling back their battery plans has actually led to them getting better pricing because there isn't as much demand for the same battery. So that's actually giving them some economies of scale. The other thing too is if you look at the amount of regulatory credits that the money that they've been making, it has basically is paying for their factories. Now, arguably, you don't know exactly where they're spending the money, but the competitors are actually paying them to expand supercharging and build out more factories. And part of the reason that the automakers, and this is an important point to stress, part of the reason that the other automakers have cut back their EV plans is they weren't making enough money because they can't. They what's his name? Jim Farley on the call cited that he can't compete in the price wars. So this goes back to the Tesla strategy of crushing them onto their already negative margins. And it's actually leading to some positive things for them on the back end. So I think it's all looking good. It's the same as like they're telling you what the roadmap is, and you're right. We're gonna have some bad quarters, but we know what they're spending the money on, and we know no one else is spending that money on those same things. And you know that these other companies are in bad shape. If you just keep fast forwarding this, Tesla just literally has to just wait them out. I mean, how does this landscape look in 3 years? How's GM looking in 3 years? How's Ford looking in 3 years? I don't know. I don't see how people don't see it's a no-brainer.
I like, what's the bull case for Tesla bottomed? Is it the sentiment? Like, we know the numbers in Q2 are going to be bad, but a stock bottoming means sentiment changes. So do you think sentiment?
No, well, Chris said it. It's heavily retail. So you could argue that the retail is half of that market. It is half the market cap, and they're not selling. So whatever, cut the market cap in half, and that's the part that's in play. Most retail investors are holding.
But see, here's the thing: all the street downgraded them even after this earnings, right? All the banks except Bank of America. So if retail's buying it up right now, which they did from 140 to 170, let's say it gets to 185, the street's going to have to chase if the numbers get better at 185, 190, dare I say 200, and then retail will have been ahead of the street again on Tesla in a time where they probably shouldn't have been because the numbers were so bad, which would be insane.
Right. Then Q2 they missed deliveries by one Model 3, and then the stock corrects 25% of it.
Yeah, then it's
like it's.
I guess we'll see.
It's too much emotion. It's too emotional for something that's supposed to be not as emotional. These things should make sense.
I still want to bring up, which I agree, the numbers were actually horrific. So it was just the sentiment was so bad, so it pumped. It's going to reverse at some point. Who knows if it gets back to 140? But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like, unless robo-taxis are out there by 8.8, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that's kind of the main. Snapchat did go up. They increased on revenue. Nothing too crazy. Snapchat.
Why don't we do 8 minutes on what VITALY sent in the group chat?
What did he send?
About the end of.
The
end of non-competes.
Yeah.
How many of you guys in the chat have had to sign non-compete clauses when you work at companies?
So I've signed NDAs. I've never signed. Actually, no, I did sign a non-compete once.
I've signed NDAs. Yeah.
Yeah. I signed an NDA as a non-compete as a consultant. I was consulting with a client, but they wanted me to only consult with them, so they did a non-compete.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, Vitaly, you can start on this. Do you think this is bullish or bearish for the FTC to say, hey, if you work at a company, the company can't stop you from leaving the company, even if you take some secrets from the company?
Well, okay, so you could still sign NDAs. That's the thing. So this non-compete is not the same thing as an NDA. So there's going to be a way for whoever, Google or someone, to come after you if they want to, but this does help the fact that I think it might be easier for you to move around in the same industry. I think that's what the point of this is, right? So because all these people are sometimes trapped, not anymore, obviously, but they're sort of trapped, and then going to another company, they can get sued just for going to another company. At least that part is gone. But if you signed an NDA, doesn't mean you could take your work product with you, right?
You know, it's funny. They're saying right here, the FTC thinks that this will create new businesses. So this is their way of spurring entrepreneurship, which is an interesting way, but that's their way. Chris, go ahead.
I think this is, in certain industries, I get that this is one of those practices that's required almost, but a lot of what some of these employers were doing was stupid. Here's an example. My sister-in-law, she's a physician. Emory had a non-compete where if you work at a Emory hospital, which is an affiliated, which has multiple hospital systems around, and you left Emory, you could not compete, I think, within 20 miles of any Emory facility or something like that. And the thing is, they covered the entire region. So it's like you can't work in this state anymore. It's almost something like that. So it's really stupid, and it's like 5 years or something. Now here's the thing: what do you think a doctor is going to be able to take from your organization, bring to another organization? There's no real value there. So the thing is, a lot of times these practices were just made to discourage workers from moving around and also demanding higher wages. Now workers are going to say, hey, listen, I'm getting an offer at this facility, right? If you can't match it, sorry, I'll leave and go to the next area. So I think it's a good thing to a certain degree. I do think that there are some negative connotations to it, negative aspects to it as well, which is employees might be abusing it by getting in, getting trained, and then basically shopping themselves around everywhere and basically just moving from place to place to place, getting the highest salary possible, right? I mean, that's at their discretion. Now, employers are going to fucking hate that, because imagine right now, it takes, especially in a specialized field, it takes a good amount of time to invest in the employee to get them to the point where they are a productive member of the company. And so every time they become productive, someone leaves. That's a really big headache for existing employers. So I think there's trade-offs here and there, but I think the net benefit is going to be positive.
Am I crazy that I think this is terrible?
Why?
Absolutely, because of what KRIS just said. Like, you see a lot of predatory hiring on the fact of these companies that have a lot of money. They'll hire a bunch of talent and just keep them there doing shit just to keep them out of the market. So other companies, and that's a bad thing, right? But this is basically incentivizing, or at least giving the employees benefits to really abuse the system. It gives you a tremendous amount of leverage. Like KRIS said, you go into a company, you get trained, you know the secret sauce, you know how it works, and then you go off and start your own business. Somebody even said here, what do doctors take with them? They take fucking clients. What are you talking about? They take clients with them. I mean, that's how it is in my business. In my business, when I worked in the ad agency, I am dealing directly sometimes with the client. At some point, I can just say to them, hey, why are you going to this agency?
Yeah.
That is a good point. I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right.
Freaking client. Like I got hired. I directed a couple of things for American Express. The agency has 1 or 2 people there. The rest of the time, you're dealing directly with the client. If they really like you, they might ask you to just start working for them, and you cut the agency out. This would incentivize that. This would be, now you're going to have these companies having to create safeguards, which usually is another person. You don't deal directly with client. Like, they're going to have to create these safeguards. I just think this is a bad idea.
But also you're giving more power to the actual employee finally, as opposed to the employer holding all the cards all the time. So
yeah, right. But what I'm saying is, in the attempt to fix an injustice, I think you're creating a potential other problem on the other end. What I would say,
but okay, think about this for a second. A Google employee 10 years ago, he tried to go be an engineer in the same similar division at Facebook. He would get sued. He can't do that. Well, and he can't work in the same sort of department.
I'm not saying that I agree with that. I'm saying that we should adjust the rules of the non-compete, but we shouldn't get rid of it, because I do think that there's an investment in an employee. You are paying money, and as a shareholder of Google, you're paying money to train this person. I don't want to know that the company's resources, even if it's training, is being wasted. So I think they need to just adjust it so that it's more fair and that the employers don't take advantage, but you don't go and let the employees then go and basically gut the company. I think it's a bad idea.
Here's a question that I have for you guys. Have you guys ever considered investing in something like this, like a micro market?
Hell yeah. I was looking into that last month.
Why, dude? The margins, why would you do this?
Yeah.
Like, what's
what are you talking about? Margins? They're amazing margins.
They're great.
Why? Why? At the end of the day, these are, dude. My dad owned a liquor store. These things don't have good margins. These bags of chips don't have great margins.
Bags of chips have amazing margins.
No, they do, dude. KRIS, my dad bought the chips for 48 cents. He sold them for 50 cents a pop.
No,
it's
the liquor.
You got to put them in places where
not the chips, liquor guys.
Yeah, you got to put them in places where the location allows you.
Can you sell liquor in those little stores?
Yeah, why would this is like an ATM? Why is that? I mean, not ATM, a vending machine. Why? Yeah, those aren't good businesses. Like, unless you have a ton of them. And this thing
I'm just asking. I'm just asking. It's not that bougie. It's just a cooler, right? A couple of shelves right there, right? And a terminal. That's all it is. It's not a lot of, like, what do you see on here that's like, oh my God, this is really,
you know what I see? I see the rent, because this looks like an airport. This looks like, that's where it looks like this thing is at.
We didn't talk about Drew Baglino, who sold $181 million. Ray mentioned that.
like,
So isn't that stock options? That's not a serious thing, right? Is that a big deal?
Amit, you want to install AIP into?
Was it stock options or was it literally $180 million of
It
his?
was $180 million of options, but he exercised them, which is bad technically for the Bulls, I think.
How much did he have? Did he sell all completely?
Well, he only
out?
has 5 million left from my
Only has 5 million.
Oh wow! So he's
Oh,
out
is
basically. And for,
We
you
should
know,
start a
what Warren
GoFundMe.
says.
We should
Warren
start a
says-
GoFundMe for Baglino.
I know, but he
appears
took
to be
out 200
selling-
million. He left 5, so he's 95% out, right?
Left? Are you fucking kidding me?
If I'm correct, he still owns about 30,000 shares worth about 5 million.
All right.
That's
Dude, $5
amazing,
million
though.
is not a lot of money though in the context of Drew Baglino. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but if they
Yeah.
get him on a 44,
It's more like his lotto ticket. in case it works.
wait, hold on, no, the VITALY. This is a serious thing. This guy sold 95% of his position. He went from 181 million to 5 million. That is a
Yeah.
bearish sell.
That's not a bearish sell. That's a guy who's like, I gave 20 years of my life. I want to go live it up. That's a red panty night. Get the red panties.
Well, it makes me think.
It looks
What do you think? Is this a piece of evidence that he was fired, or is this a piece of evidence that he left and just wanted to like be out of it?
This is the piece. He got fired, dude. This, is, this man fucking said, "Fuck you, Elon. I'm selling." He waited for exit liquidity.
Fuck you! I'm
for
tanking your
retail.
stock, bitch. I'm doing it.
No, he waited for retail to pump this bitch, dude. He didn't sell at 140. He's selling it at 174. I mean,
If you get fired, do you allowed to sell all your stock the next day? Is that how this works? I don't actually know.
I don't know. I've never been fired.
You need to have a job to get.
He'd be employed.
That would
YouTube calls you one day. You know what, Amit? You're fucking fired.
You know what, Amit? This KRIS guy keeps playing this copyrighted shit. We can't have this anymore.
That was our way of firing you. And by the way, you have a non-compete, so you have to close down your channel.
You have to close down the channel.
Amit, step into your fake brick office and fire yourself.
Fire yourself.
Okay, let's end it off on this question. We'll start with KRIS. Meta or Google from these valuations over the next 2 years?
Both.
No, you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
Meta.
Why?
Interesting.
What is it? Almost 1 trillion with growing revenue, growing things with buybacks. Meta's the easy one. With Google, the valuation's kind of up there already. With Meta, the recent downward momentum really like reset the what is that thing called? The
PE.
The market cap. And then on top of it, I think there's going to get a huge, I'm talking about gigantic tailwind with TikTok kind of being a little bit pushed to the side. Like I'm talking about.
Why?
You're talking
Why do you
about-
think? Why do you think that?
Before you answer, you know that's a year out. They have a year.
But the creators have to
the
start
election
getting
is
ready.
in November.
No,
right?
they have 9 months to fix the problem. If not, they can ask for 3 months of extension. So they get a maximum of a year.
But the thing is, Carlos, if you're a creator with 1 million followers on TikTok, you got to get ready before that timeline is up, or else you're fucked.
Yeah, they're gonna lose a lot of people.
You got to get to YouTube or Instagram. You got to start telling people, "Yo, follow me, get the fuck off this platform." Like,
Hold on, but TikTok has what 170?
It's like rats fleeing a ship. You watch. You're right about that. In 6 months, it's a desert. You know.
All the content is going to be moving from TikTok. It's like Vine. You guys remember Vine?
yeah.
If you know that Vine is going to die, everyone is going to, like, if you're a content creator, you are risking your neck right now being in TikTok exclusive area.
Mhm.
And at the same time, users are going to be migrating. Users will migrate. The content creators will migrate. And the entire time, Meta is just going to be making more money. They're going to use their algorithms to pump ads in between all this shit. Dude, Meta is going to make so much fucking money.
I agree. And let me point out 27% revenue increase, right, for $1 trillion company. Remember that. And what happens in Q3, Q4? This is not even the craziness yet.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wait till the craziness happens. I think they're going to do absolutely.
And also remember, Meta is everywhere. In terms of like social media, you're talking about every single country right now. They are the top social media platform. Tell me one social media platform that competes with Meta anywhere in the world that has a bigger presence. Nobody.
No, it's not an opportunity for X, dude. Those people aren't coming at the people
I
on
think
TikTok.
Elon posted something that X is winning. I think he posted that.
Dude,
people on
Threads. I think
TikTok are not
Threads
coming at
actually
Twitter,
has
dude.
more people. Threads
Threads
has
has more people.
now.
But Threads is irrelevant though. But people on TikTok,
Yeah.
they're not gonna stimulate themselves intellectually by reading content that matters on Twitter, they're gonna go to Instagram and get dopamine from stupid videos. Like
the thing is though, do you guys notice that TikTok's Instagram is just like, even if you have all the same videos, the way that Instagram curates your feed is way different than
TikTok's algorithm is crack. It's better.
It is crack. That's what I'm saying. So even if you get the users, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to monetize the same way. Because
you're telling me the guy. Hold on. You're telling me
they are monetizing it.
You're telling me that the biggest copycat in the world, Zuckerberg, can't replicate TikTok's algorithm? You can't.
The thing is, the reason Chris is right is because the data advantage they're going to have from all these people scrolling, those H100s are going to be working overtime, and they'll make the algorithm better. Maybe it's not crack, but maybe it's meth.
Maybe maybe it's just
hold on. One thing.
Maybe it's fentanyl.
If you guys remember, and I'm sure Vitaly and Carlos, because I was on your Discord, we had this discussion a year and a half ago, and I said, watch TikTok fucking get banned.
You did.
Remember that?
I didn't believe it would get banned. I didn't believe it would get banned, to be honest.
The thing is, 6 months after that, I said, holy shit, you're right. And you changed your mind. You're like, oh, it's not happening. And then it did actually happen. So you were right. The original statement, absolutely 100%.
I didn't think TikTok would be banned. I really didn't. I didn't think they would have the balls to do it. And by the way, Biden didn't want to do it, but he knows Ukraine needs this. He had to sign this thing, or else
someone said he tried to replicate Twitter with Threads. How's Threads going? Threads is gaining.
Dude, Threads is trash. Don't even.
It is trash.
Zuckerberg mentioned it for 1 second. He's like, "Oh, my daughter said that I have to say Taylor Swift is on Threads," and then like I
think he said it to pump it.
Yeah, no. I'm telling you, you guys are sitting on this because I'm telling you, Threads does post a
Threads is garbage. You cannot make a bull case.
I agree that Threads in its current form is garbage, but
Chris is like,
I'm telling you, they're moving in the right direction. They're moving.
No, they're
in the
not,
right
Chris.
direction.
Chris, do you know what they did the other day?
Pretty bad.
They offered people $99 to post about positivity on Threads. This is not a joke. Meta. They said, "Hey, we have a $99 competition
because you're posting positive things on Threads."
No. I'm not partaking in the thing, but that's what they're doing right now. I'm gonna find the
look
article.
Look at this real quick. 1 second. The data.
Okay.
By the way, Threads does not defeat the bull case for Meta. Just FYI.
Chris, that website you're going to is technically flawed, but this is the Threads offers creators $500. Oh, it's $500, not $99, to post about creativity.
Shit, what the fuck is this, dude? I'm gonna go do that tonight.
What nonsense is this shit, dude? Like, this is that. And then Chris, this website is just downloads. These aren't the users themselves.
This is not. No. This is not downloads. This is right here. Historical users.
No, Zucks just said we had 150 million on the call. There's no way you could have 190 million. Oh no, 190 million downloads. He says there's 150 million monthly. So that's what I'm saying. There's 40 million.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. That, dude, I think this thing, if Elon, especially if Elon doesn't watch out, he could theoretically push a lot of people to Threads. All right.
No, he can't. Dude, no, I disagree. No one's going to Threads.
It's not happening.
Dude, if you're a Meta bull, you just believe in the advertising. That's it.
If it was going to happen, it would have happened with Mastodon. It would have happened with Truth Social. It would have happened with any one of these other ones where people like, I'm not an Elon.
Also, Elon's paying. He's giving people money, like not to post about positivity, just to post content. Like, when they get more ad revenue, people are going to get paid more.
Hold on. Last time I looked, I'm not getting monetized on X, but last time I looked, you were getting like $20. Like,
it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but it's something.
No, but I'm saying it's not enough, right?
Yeah, but it's really bad. It's like 0.5 cents an hour. Like, it's bad, but it's developing. You know, YouTube wasn't great in 2010 when they started doing this either. But the point is, Elon was like, hey, why do we have so many users and we're not trying to give creators any percentage of the pie? Whereas Zucks is never going to do that, right?
It's the optics.
I agree. Zuckerberg should do that.
It's the optics of like, oh shit, this platform actually cares about what sees the value in what I'm adding to this platform. Even if it's $5, they could have kept it. You know,
Chris, I guess we're the only ones who are going to have Meta shares into the future.
No, I'm bullish Meta, but I'm not bullish Threads. I'm not bullish Threads. I'm bullish Meta.
On fucking Threads. Me and Amit will be on X.
Well, here's the other thing. Let me ask you guys as well, because Chris, you're thinking of buying Meta. I don't have the cash to buy Meta or calls. Metaverse. Do you think he's one day going to get up and just be like, all right, guys, I'm sorry, we're moving on from this?
No. He's super serious about it. I watched enough with him. He's not messing around, and he's doing a lot of right moves to win it. And I don't know how close you've been paying attention.
I haven't. So tell me, why do you think Metaverse could win? Because they lost $4 billion last quarter on it.
Well, right now, so a lot of,
by the way, that's what it tanked. He's spending money on something that investors don't give a shit about. So as long as he's spending money on the ad side, they're like, all right, I'll have your little fucking pet project.
I like that you're saying that, but then a lot of people didn't believe just FSD alone. They wanted the Model 2 and the tank. So I mean,
no, but the
who
metaverse
cares?
is not FSD, dude.
No, but I'm saying that the leader has to take us somewhere. He has to give a grand vision, and Zuck executes on that vision just like Elon. So you can say what you want, but Zuck does execute.
Okay, so my question is, what is the execution on the metaverse that, as an investor, you're like, yup, keep wasting $4 billion on this?
Well, first of all, the whole AI build out was part of it. So the thing is, you can't do one without the other. And the thing is, all that money he was spending that was just metaverse, the stupid name of changing it, was also buying all those H100s or whatever he was buying years ago. He was ramping up for the metaverse, which ended up helping with all of this LLM stuff and the AI.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So it's like, it's not one or the other. He has to sort of do both at the same time. Yes, there's certain things to spend on the actual Quest product line. Absolutely. But there's a whole back end to it that's super expensive that they're still working on. Plus all of the AI they're working on, like some of the best AI in the world, right? And they're open sourcing it with Llama. So besides Llama at some point becoming like an AWS service, I'm sure Zuck at some point is going to do it just like ChatGPT charges $20 or whatever. There's going to be some monetization of that just besides the ads. I think that's happening. And I think someone mentioned it. What's his name? The analyst, the bald-headed analyst. What's his name? Goes on CNBC all the time. No, not Dan Ives. I forgot the guy's name. But,
Mizuho, Dan Dolev.
Yes, exactly. From Mizuho, I believe he said basically, yeah, they're going to do it at some point. They're working on that. So that's one thing. The other thing he's doing is a lot of these companies that are Quest copycat companies. Joe Rogan? I'm not sure.
Joe Rogan needs to make ET a comedian, dude. This Joe Rogan is how he comes up with
that. No, it's good. So all these
I think he's learning from my live streams because I'm funny. So
he's saying that because that one chick who interviewed Dana White called him.
Yeah. Oh, that's also why.
That's why Kramer. But so all these companies who had all these Quest products, they're failing miserably because literally the Oculus is the most popular in terms of like gaming and VR and all this stuff that's happening. They're actually building their operating system that other companies are now going to build on their operating system, just like Google did with Android and spreading that like wildfire. So I think this is a growing business that's going to take a long time. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be like a year, 5 years, 10 years, who knows, but he's going to have a major part in this story of the next compute level, the spatial compute, whatever you want to call it. It's not just going to be Apple. It's going to be somebody else too. It's going to probably be Meta, it seems like. And companies are jumping on board. Microsoft has jumped on board with Meta. Okay.
I agree with all the AI shit you're talking about. I'm just saying at one point, like 5 years from now, if we're not all in the metaverse, which is what he said in 2021, that's the vision, beyond screens, virtual. That's not happening. At what point is he just like, guys, yeah, we're going to move on to something else? And investors are like, all right, whatever.
Well, how long did it take Elon to move on from FSD?
But FSD like makes sense. The metaverse.
My point is, to him, it makes sense. I don't think he's going to move on in 5 years, like you're saying. I don't think that's going to happen.
All right. All right, I think that's it. Carlos, what would you pick, Google or Meta? Which one?
Google.
If he was going to say Meta, then that would have been.
Oh yeah, I forgot to ask the Meta hater. How can I ask him?
I was like,
oh, it's Tesla, Google, or Meta?
He basically said no. Yeah, he should have said Exxon or
Exxon or
Mile.
Carlos, Meta or GM? Like, well, those operating margins Chris talked about on GM are getting better.
So I'm looking at the top charts for downloads right now.
Correct. Threads is at number 1 for the past year. It doesn't matter.
It's not number 1. It's number 2 right now, but
Chris, it does. I'm telling you, dude, it does. The app downloads don't matter. It's about engagement, users. No one posts on the app.
Don't matter. You hear this?
There's no culture on this app. You guys don't understand. There's like when breaking news happens, like NBA basketball game, the Lakers game tonight. That's not going to be talked about on Threads at the level it's going to be talked about on X. We're in Finance X. There's Music X. There's Sports X. Yeah. There's so many avenues to Twitter that doesn't really exist on Threads. There's positivity on Threads.
Threads also, X also has a shit ton of bots too. You know, that bot.
You don't think Threads has bots, dude? You're like,
I don't know how to use Threads. I couldn't tell you.
Well, there's a reason you don't use it.
He's like, it is the biggest thing. It's gonna.
Now here's the thing. X has here's the thing. Here's how you're right, Chris. Facebook has way better monetization than X. If Facebook puts ad sharing on Threads, and they really incentivize people to make money, which they'll never do, but if they do, they get a new revenue stream, and then people migrate because they want to make money on their content. So maybe that's a way to get them, but otherwise, I don't know. I don't know. The reason they also, by the way, last point, the reason they have those downloads is because they just show it to people on Instagram. They have 2 billion Instagram users. They show threads every day. They force you to basically, they annoy you until you download it. And then boom, they get a ton of users, right?
Hey,
that's
listen,
the beauty of
happens.
Meta.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
I agree.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. You know, my thing is, I'm going to be watching for celebrities. I think if celebrities end up moving to more and more people, especially in the most follows, if they start moving over to threads and they become more active posters on there, I'm talking about the Taylor Swifts of the world, the not Miley Cyrus. Well, Miley Cyrus, maybe the Kylie Jenners of the world. If they start posting more on threads, I can see people migrating over there. Right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. I think a lot of people are still mostly on Twitter. But if I see the celebs starting to move, and especially if the celebs are linking their Instagram to it, that could be something. So I wonder if there is a way that Instagram could somehow adopt TikTok like algorithm and then integrate that into threads. And so this way threads becomes a viable option. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't see any end in the monetization that Meta has going forward.
I agree with that.
That's
I
all.
agree with that.
Do you see any particular or any potential regulatory headwinds for them once TikTok is gone? Now TikTok is gone. There's a lot of regulatory, like this is now bringing into the public conversation the power that social media.
Like Congress can start focusing outside of China.
Right. Is Elizabeth Warren going to stop with TikTok, or is she going to turn around and say, well, now that we got rid of TikTok, but there's these other American companies.
Well, why don't that's a good question. Well, let's layer it with this final point, and then we'll end it off. The Biden tax, 44%, 25% unrealized. Do you guys think
that's
that
why I
passes?
voted for him?
Vitaly, there you go.
I think he gave Trump the election. I think he did it, dude. That's a real thing, dude. That's not a meme. Like that's in his fiscal year 2025 proposal. That's what he wants to do. So
yeah, I don't.
And the 25% unrealized, that's a real thing. It's in the
but hold on, because I overreacted. I got to admit, I knee-jerk reacted to it. It's for people who make $1 million over a year and have more than $400,000 a year and have $1 million invested. Or is it the opposite?
Dude, regardless, it's
a very, very high earner.
Well, you have to make something.
You guys are all millionaires,
and you have to have $1 million invested. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but the point is, like,
it's never going to happen. By the way, this is just
no, it's not going to happen. But you have to ask, you have to say, why are they even proposing this? This is this is such an obvious thing not to do in an election year that it makes me suspicious.
It's 4D chess, man.
I think it's definitely politics where the Democrats at this point have come to the conclusion that there is no way that we are going to be winning this presidential election. Now, number one, the fact that they even put Biden up as with all the dementia, all the issues that he has, to me, that was like a screaming, like, wait a second, you're going to put probably one of the weakest candidates up for re-election just because he's in the position right now. This guy is a walking Trump ad, in my opinion. So the question was, why did the Democrats do that? I think it's very easy. If you're doing this politically, if you're thinking about like just, you're putting it in a square and you're trying to figure out strategically what is going on. They are probably going to have Trump elected. They might end up controlling one of the branches in the legislature, which means that they'll be able to kind of like kneecap him a lot on the policies that he comes up with, make him look like a shitbag. Midterms, they're going to say, look, he's a racist, he's colluding with Russia, blah, 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 smear the shit out of him, hand him a recession, and now the Democrats will win the midterms. They take the House and the Senate. After that, you have
lame duck.
What is that? You have gridlock and you have a lame duck president, right? Which is perfect from the democratic process, because that means whoever is coming up in 2028 as the president, it's going to be a layup, because usually the president and the party that's in charge get the blame of everything that's happening. That means that in 2028, they can theoretically get a supermajority in both House and Senate, and have the presidency. And by that time, you're going to have Alito and Clarence Thomas pushing into their late 80s.
Yeah.
So that means that one of them either is going to pass away, or they're going to resign or retire, whatever. They're not going to last that long. So at that point, now the Democrats will be able to get 2 Supreme Court seats. If they get 2 Supreme Court seats, that swings the balance long term going forward. And I know that this sounds conspiratorial, but Mitch played the same exact thing when Obama was in charge
he did,
years
you're
before.
Right.
So don't think that people are not going to be politically posturing. Now, this is a long-term strategy. In the short term, America gets fucked, but that's just how politicians work. That's how party politics is. So
the other side of it is that there might be a black swan event and we don't actually have an election.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
The problem, someone said Alito and Thomas could step down to avoid that. See, here's the thing. Theoretically, yes, absolutely. Clarence Thomas and Alito could both step down and basically let 2 more people come in under the next presidency. But here's the thing. And the Republicans played this during Obama. They can just create all sorts of issues during the nomination process and extend that shit out until the next fucking election. That's the problem that you would run into. So we'll see.
It's more of a problem if one of them actually passes away than you have.
We got to end it with 4 more years. Pause.
Dude, that was crazy.
That was later.
That was fun. That was wild.
I mean, all right. It's like George Bush Jr. all over again, but on the other side.
All right. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll be back next Monday. And we'll have earnings week next week as well. Amazon and Apple. Those are going to be a big one.
Have a good weekend, guys, and everyone.
Have a good weekend, guys. Thanks for joining. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.